But first, exclusive new information just coming into the Situation Room. We're learning about two disturbing close encounters between Iranian Navy boats and U.S. warships in the Strait of Hormuz and in the Persian Gulf. This provocative behavior only fueling already heightened tensions between the United States and Iran. Let's get straight to our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr. She's got the details. What do we know, Barbara?
Wolf, at a time of heightened tensions, the Pentagon still wants to say this is relatively routine, but listen to what happened last Friday in the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf to both a U.S. Navy warship and a U.S. Coast Guard cutter. The Navy warship first up, the USS New Orleans, was going into the Persian Gulf. It was going through the Strait of Hormuz when three Iranian speedboats approached it at high speed and came within 500 yards at high speed within the range of this Navy warship. The Navy warship signaled the Iranians to back off. They ignored all signals. That is in opposition to standard maritime procedures. Eventually, we were told they did break away. Another incident the same day, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter called the ADAC was up in the Persian Gulf. It was just about 75 miles east of Kuwait when it was harassed by high-speed Iranian boats, small boats that came at it also at high speed. The personnel on board the Coast Guard cutter said that they observed Iranians with AK-47s, and they believe one of the machine guns at the front of one of those Iranian speedboats was pointed right at them. Eventually, a larger Iranian naval vessel intervened, and those small speedboats backed off. Routine or not, these types of encounters are extremely concerning to the U.S. Navy. You know, the question really is, Wolf, how close do you let an Iranian speedboat get to you before you have to do something about it? Wolf?
Yeah, I'm sure there must have been some nervousness on those U.S. ships. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks very much. The United States, meanwhile, is putting Iran on notice when it comes to the country's latest threats to close the Strait of Hormuz. Our foreign affairs correspondent Jill Doherty is taking a closer look at what the Obama administration is doing right now behind the scenes. Jill, what's going on?
Yeah, you know, Wolf, what Barbara's talking about really shows there's a question. Does Iran really understand those red lines that the White House, the administration, is laying out? Now, the State Department says no question that Iran has gotten the message, but others are warning there's real danger of miscalculation. Don't even think of blocking the Strait of Hormuz. A blunt public warning to Iran from Defense Secretary Leon Panetta.
That's another red line for us, and that we will respond to that.
With the danger of military confrontation over that vital choke point escalating, the U.S. is using every channel it has, including secret back channels, to lay down its red lines to Tehran.
We used our regular channels of communication, of which there are several, to make our message known privately, in addition to the very strong messages we're sending publicly.
The U.S. and Iran don't have diplomatic relations, so Washington talks to Iran through its protecting power, Switzerland. It also uses Turkey, whose leaders talk with Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, as well as Qatar, Oman, and Japan. And a senior administration official tells CNN the U.S. now has asked Iran to establish a direct channel of communication so that miscalculations don't lead to military confrontation.
They don't know how the West operates, and they may be convinced that the West is a paper tiger. They may actually believe their own rhetoric.
Michael Rubin briefs U.S. naval personnel aboard ships bound for the Persian Gulf on Iran's history and strategy. Most recently, the aircraft carrier John C. Stennis, which Iran warned not to return to the Gulf. The combination of giant U.S. aircraft carriers, small, heavily armed Iranian boats in the narrow Strait of Hormuz, he says, could be a deadly combination. Now, the White House insists that publicly or privately the message is the same. And the State Department says they have no doubt that Tehran has gotten the message. But with tensions growing, Wolf, there are no guarantees.